Statistics show that nearly 70% of people who rarely or seldom attend church think that science and faith are in conflict with one another. That science shows that you can't really be a Christian and truly be actively thinking. But is this the case? Well, I'm joined here with Ted Cable today, professor of philosophy of religion at Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, to address this question. Ted, have you ever experienced or had doubts caused by science of whether Christianity is really true?
Before I was a Christian, I was convinced that the two were incompatible, and especially evolution. It's interesting, Jeff, after I became a Christian, I trusted God because I felt like I met Christ personally, and therefore I trusted the Bible, and I didn't know how to sort through those sorts of issues like evolution.
So there was a sense of God existed, and I'm going to believe that, but then you still had these questions that you wrestled with.
I did, but I wasn't exactly worried about them at first. I was still kind of reveling in the joy of knowing this new found freedom in this relationship with a person, that is Jesus Christ. As time went on, though, I began to have questions. Surely there's something here if so many people are convinced evolution and the Bible don't seem to line up. And that's when I began to look and I began to wonder about things.
So is it actually healthy for a Christian to have doubts like this? Is this a good thing to do?
I would put it this way, it's inevitable for many Christians. There are some kinds of people who virtually seem to get through life where they don't have the big intellectual questions that are related to philosophy or science, but they will have more personal questions. God, why did you allow this to happen to me, or whatever? But many of us, we can't help that we wonder about the kinds of questions like, is evolution compatible with the Bible? And that's what was happening to me. I finally needed to take a look.
You know, I just find that interesting because it seems like that's the same sort of mindset that often drives a lot of scientific advance, that I wonder how this works. Does this really fit? So let's go look for the answers. But I'm curious. So you have this struggle with evolution. Is it true? How do we deal with that as Christians? What ultimately resolved the doubts? How did you wrestle through those and work through those?
Well, what helped me was to actually understand, as best I can as a layman, the actual original teachings of Charles Darwin by reading The Origin of the Species and then trying to read quality literature that explained the best they could his arguments. What I've come to see, if I could be brief, is simply that almost no Christians I know today who understand these issues doubt the basic things he discovered. Natural selection occurs, speciation, the issue of common descent. Few doubt that you can see, for instance, a variety of birds, let's say, for instance, that are related, say, as famous finches off of the Galapagos Islands. The question becomes still for me, however, that I have questions about that I'm not comfortable with, is the issue that human beings evolved naturalistically, accidentally, from, if you go far back enough, from non-living. This was not his thesis, but if you were to do modern evolutionary argument, it would be that I've evolved naturalistically from non-living matter. I find that hard to believe on a variety of grounds, not just because of my understanding of the Bible.
So what is it that helped you resolve those and put that aside and say, because that is a dominant idea in the scientific community, that we are just the product of blind mechanistic chance, that put everything together and give it enough time and it's all going to happen. So how did you resolve that tension if that seems to be something so counter to what the scriptures say?
Well, first of all, I still retain my deep confidence in God through Christ, which extends to my understanding of the Bible. But also, it helped me when I came to understand that atheistic approaches to even evolution leave questions unanswered that I find far more troubling than if I just live with the questions I may have. For instance, how is it that so many people who are atheists that hold the view that we're really accidental features of the universe really can't explain why they live as if there's purpose and why there are values and why human beings really should be considered more important than, say, other animals? And more so, I actually have come to a place, Jeff, where I'm more than happy to see problems and views, including my own, without having every single answer zipped up tight. And so for me, the ultimate peace comes from understanding that there are far more problems for the atheistic approach to life than there are for the person who trusts in God, believes in the Bible, and sees the big picture with the kinds of answers that we do have, both in science, the Bible, and its explanation of life, and ultimately a kind of philosophical approach to the big questions that are best answered in the Bible rather than a kind of evolutionary naturalistic approach.